Today we are taking a look at the Miniware TS21. It's a new soldering iron by the brand and it's designed for precision soldering. A key selling point is a heat-up time of only 3 seconds, something we will test later in the video. You also get a built-in display and a useful LED light, all in a relatively compact device. But despite its small size, the iron can pull up to 100 watts of power, at least for a short time. It is powered over a USB Type-C port and it uses USB power delivery. The TS21 costs about $40 on Amazon or AliExpress. I'll have links in the description if you want to check it out. But first, let me share my impressions with you after soldering with this iron for more than a week. I have to clarify that this unit was sent to me for free to test and review. However, the brand has had no influence over this video beyond answering a few questions that I had. Another thing to point out, my soldering iron is running stock firmware version 1.5, which is the only available for now. So with all that out of the way, let's see what I got in the box. Here we have the user manual in Chinese and English, and some heat shrink tubing for the handle. This is the control module which holds all the electronics. And next to it we have the removable soldering cartridge. Apparently, if you buy your iron from Amazon, you will also receive a stand, a USB cable and a power adapter. I took a look at the paper user manual and it's good to see that it covers a lot, from technical specs like power and voltage input to the options available in the different menus. This is the cartridge that you get with the TS21. It has a knife-shaped tip, but if you prefer a different type, I see that replacements are available on Amazon for about $12. With a little bit of pressure, the cartridge slides into the opening. With this particular tip installed, the iron measures about 14 centimeters in length and weighs 31 grams according to my scale. I'm noticing there's no protection for the fingers, not sure why. It doesn't get hot or uncomfortable, but typically you have a ring or something on the handle of the iron to prevent slipping. Okay, so now all we need is a power adapter. The Amazon bundle includes a 65-watt adapter, but you do not necessarily need to use that one. Since the iron uses USB power delivery, it is compatible with some phone chargers, laptop adapters, and even with many power banks. You can also power the iron from a DC power source or a battery pack, but personally I've been mostly using my 100-watt phone charger. To clarify, you do not need 100 watts of power for this iron. It should work with anything that supports USB power delivery and has at least 18 watts of power. For example, I can confirm it works with this 65-watt charger, with this 65-watt laptop power adapter, and even with this 30-watt power bank. Another thing I have to point out, by default, the iron is set to operate at 60 watts, so you can change this to 100 watts for the quickest heat-up times, or to as low as 20 watts if you prefer to. Keep in mind that this is peak power. During operation, the power consumption is much lower. Usually just a few watts are enough to sustain the set temperature. In fact, I tried to reach the advertised 100 watts of power, but my power meter did not show anything above 60 watts. So I reached out to Miniware and got a response. Apparently, the 100 watts are consumed for half a second or even less. My meter simply wasn't refreshing quickly enough to detect it. Okay, fair enough. But does having all this power make a difference? Here's a side-by-side comparison between the 100, 60 and 20 watt power settings. Unsurprisingly, it appears that the iron heats up the quickest at 100 watts, but the difference is very slight. I repeated this test, this time with a bit of solder touching the tip. Again, the iron heats up the quickest when set to 100 watts, and I can confirm the advertised time of 3 seconds is realistic. But even at 60 or 20 watts, the iron heats up pretty quickly. For comparison, here is the iron I typically use for my projects. I've had it for a couple of years and it's been very reliable, but as you can see, it is not as quick. I am sure it can hold on to a lot more heat, but it takes about half a minute to reach 300 degrees from a cold start. It is literally 10 times slower than the TS21. Another thing I was wondering was if this tiny cartridge could handle 100 watts of power. So I asked, and the answer that I got was that the service life of the Miniware cartridges will not be affected by the 60 or 100 watt settings. I don't think I can test this to confirm, But since these peak power levels last for only a fraction of a second, my guess is that the effect would be minimal. Okay, now let's solder some stuff. First is this DIY clock kit which I got from AliExpress. I'll be using the same solder I always use, lead-free Caster SAC 305. The iron is set to 300 degrees for this job. I'm starting with this dip socket which I'm going to stick to the board with a piece of tape. Honestly, it took me a few minutes to get used to this soldering iron. I quickly noticed that having the proper soldering technique mattered a lot more, probably because the tip does not have a lot of thermal mass. But eventually I got the hang of it and things were looking pretty good. Switching to 350 degrees made a big difference. The kit consisted mostly of through-hole components which I had no trouble soldering at this higher temperature. And yes, the clock worked after I put it together. For the next challenge, I took out the Digital Microscope and a soldering practice kit with various surface mount components. Honestly, this was my first time soldering 0603 resistors, but I think I did a pretty good job. Having this fine tip surely helps, and I didn't even have to raise the temperature. However, for this chip I had to boost it to 350. Other than that, soldering with this tip was very convenient. I could easily deliver heat where I needed to, and in the end, I think this was the best looking soldering job I had done at this scale. Next, I put together another kit that had only through-hole components. I discovered nothing new, but it became even clearer to me that the iron was a lot easier to use at 350 degrees. This kit also worked after I put it together. For the next test, I powered the iron from my power bank. This meant no more than 30 watts of power, so heat-up times were a bit slower. But other than that, I couldn't notice much of a difference. Even with less power, the iron could maintain its temperature. Again, I was soldering at 350 degrees and dealing with through-hole parts only. They were pretty easy to solder. About 10 minutes later, the kit was complete and the iron had used 3% of the charge of my power bank. Now let's try something more difficult. This is thick speaker wire and I want to see if I can solder two pieces together. Not surprisingly, at 300 degrees there is not much happening. The wire quickly pulls away the heat and the solder doesn't flow. This is when I used the boost feature of the iron. If you hold down one of the buttons, you temporarily switch to a higher temperature. This helped tremendously, and at 400 degrees the solder could flow around the wire. The results were not great, but they were usable. I gave this another go, but this time I added a bit of flux. Clearly, this iron is not made for this kind of tasks, and my technique is probably not great either, but it kinda worked. The LED light built into the handle is nice to have. It is not very bright, but it is certainly better than nothing. I wouldn't want to use it on its own, but it's okay for providing spot illumination in addition to whatever light you already have. The built-in display is useful. You can see the current temperature, the supply voltage, and how much power the iron is currently drawing. Also, it flips depending on how you're holding the iron, which is pretty neat. The menu, on the other hand, can be confusing at first. Navigation in particular is not great. All you have is two buttons to go up or down, to select or go back a step, and to toggle between settings. It is not an intuitive interface, so it takes time to get used to. Speaking of the menu, I am not going to go through every item, but one option I like is that I can change the default working temperature, while also having two other presets I can quickly switch to. You can also configure the sleep timeout and temperature if you want to. By default, if the iron does not detect any motion for 1 minute, it goes into sleep mode and cools down, but it automatically goes back to working temperature if you pick it up. In conclusion, I think the Miniware TS21 is a good soldering iron. It is designed as an instrument for hobbyists putting together small projects, and for such applications it is perfectly adequate. It is fairly priced, it heats up quickly, and it's nice that I can power it from a battery if I want to. It does have some drawbacks like the confusing menu navigation and the lack of a finger guard, but overall it works fine and it's good value. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.